Red Dead Redemption 2's writing is already well praised, but seeing as I am habitually late to the party, it's now my turn to talk about a part of it. You see, one of my favorite Stranger Mission series in the entire game is the Oh Brother series. I realize that I have an opportunity to talk about it now that my current playthrough of many is approaching it again. I'd like to take this moment to issue a spoiler alert for Red Dead Redemption 2. It's not new, but it is recent, and I don't want anyone to spoil this game. This video will talk about the Oh Brother Stranger missions, as well as a few main storyline things for the mid-game. You've been warned. One of the things that I love about this mission series is that it follows a formula that I always thought works well in this game. Arthur Morgan and John Marston are fun to take out of their predestined path and let them interact with random NPCs and other events around the world. The Oh Brother missions are no different in that regard, in a good way, so why do I want to single them out? The real thing that separates these missions from the rest is their use of classical mythology. The brothers' names are Protus and Acrisius, which are two Greek mythological characters that were also bickering brothers. The myths say that they fought even in the womb, and their rivalry continued into their scrapping over the ruling of Tyrans. There are two conflicting versions of the story that are similar. One says that Protus becomes the king of Argos and exiles Acrisius. Acrisius ultimately leads an uprising and overthrows Protus, who then returns with his father-in-law and becomes the king of Tyrans. The other one says that Acrisius becomes the king of Argos and he exiles Protus to preemptively stop him from starting an uprising. So then he just becomes the king of Tyrans with the help of his father-in-law. Does the difference matter? Probably not. Eventually, Perseus kills both of them. Acrisius is bonked with a discus, and Protus is turned into stone when he is shown Medusa's head. I'm not a mythology scholar. In fact, I didn't even read the Percy Jackson books when I was a kid, so by no means do I say I'm knowledgeable in this subject. Still, I have a dark humorous interpretation of the two brothers. It's another example of petty fighting ultimately causing more damage than people tend to realize. In Chapter 4, you can ride back north to the town of Valentine, where you'll find the two oddly dressed men bickering outside of the general store. Like the rest of the cast, the actors are really selling their characters, and they're just perfect. Anyway, they're competing for the attention of a woman I'll get to later. With the arrival of the coolest dude to ever roam the land, Arthur Morgan, the two brothers decide to have another competition.
My friend, you there?
Yeah? What do you want?
Do I look like a coward to you? I mean, obviously I do, because I look like that milksop there, but 'tis no matter. Can you help?
Maybe.
See? Even he is sick of hearing your nonsense, you afterthought of a child. I apologize, sir, for his smell. Why don't we come back here? To somewhere more conducive to displays of utter gallantry and deep-seated inadequacy.
Well, what did you have in mind?
Shoot a bottle off my head, like William Tell.
This is getting silly.
Very silly. The man is a moron. Shoot one off mine instead. I'm the brave one.
I'm not scared.
I'm a good shot, but
I won't even flinch.
I don't want to hurt you, boys.
Oh, I can't lose. Either I'll prove my masculinity or die and be spared his company. Come, sir, please.
Okay, then. Listen, just make sure everyone knows you asked me to do this.
Of course, of course, of course.
You boys are ridiculous.
It's at this time I'm glad that thin wooden planks are bulletproof because they have you shoot bottles off of their heads. At the end of the competition, they both try to walk the woman home, but she leads both of them.
Assaults! Shoot me!
Oh, give me the gun. Let me shoot him. For all mankind.
I think me and the lady have had enough.
Oh, I don't blame you, sir. This man's tongue, I would run too if I could. Here, for your skills and talents.
Thank you.
Now, brother, I am going to walk Helen home. Don't follow us. She has an elderly aunt, and I fear the sight of you could finally finish her off.
Helen, is this creep bothering you?
You two, come
Oh,
along.
no, there aren't two. There's me and the lizard man. Please, my angel, do not aggregate us both together.
And it is at this point I think I already have to compliment the writers on another successful Stranger mission. Again, the earliest you can do this mission series is in Chapter 4. By this point, depending on which missions you've played, Arthur either knows or is about to know he has tuberculosis. The gang is on the run as the world seems to be tightening the noose on the gang. Arthur is also about to have his entire perception of Dutch crumble significantly over the course of this chapter. The Stranger missions offer brief moments of levity to explore Arthur in the few moments he can take his mind off of his problems. Or you can play them as John in the epilogue, I guess, and ruin my whole argument. That's cool too. After some time, you can do what all responsible adults tell you to do and follow the sounds of fighting down an alleyway.
You can't punch, my sweet. It's sad, really. Oh my, our friend.
Hello.
I bet you can punch. Do me and the lady a favor here, would you? And thrash this impudent wretch.
Thrash! No man alive can thrash me.
What was your name, sir?
Arthur.
Arthur could. Easily.
You, maybe, but not me.
I know. Punch us both. As hard as you can. You'll break his glass jaw, and I'll be left standing. The knight and the knave.
Good idea. Hit me, then. Dear boy, give the feeble fellow a little tap and watch him crumble.
Protus and Acrisius' next competition is that they ask you to beat them up to see who is the best at withstanding pain. Other than the fact that you do beat them up, there isn't much about the mission I need to talk about, other than what it establishes. The woman wasn't a one-time crush, and the brothers really are willing to cross lines with each other in this fight between them. The tension that the information builds is that there has to be something that ends the competition. One brother can't date the woman in peace with the other still around in jealousy.
Enough, gentlemen?
Yes, I think so. I slipped, and I hope you killed the leprechaun.
He's still alive? Shoot him, please, one of you.
There, up he get. We need to get some steak on those wounds.
Madam, gentlemen.
Besides, she can't pick a side either, but she also won't let them go. It adds interest into seeing another chapter because the Stranger missions sometimes have rather gruesome endings. Part 3 doesn't start in Valentine, but rather at the waterfall nearby. The woman is beside 2 barrels at the shore, and the 2 brothers are arguing at the top of the waterfall. All it takes is the ability to connect context clues, and you already know what's about to happen.
Oh, Arthur, how are you?
Never better. See, you two haven't changed much?
No, he's still a lizard.
Coward.
Gerbil.
Mommy's boy.
Manatee.
Effluent.
Discharge.
Milk sop.
You already said that!
I did not. You're a milk sop.
Well, you are all chatter and no testes, dear brother. Helen, I will make you love me if it's the last thing I do. And to prove how suitable I am to make a happy and stable life with, I shall throw myself over the waterfall in just a barrel.
And so shall I, just to demonstrate how little your feeble gestures mean, you homunculus.
Arthur, please come do the honors and make sure we,
Oh, you silly little tapeworm of a man.
follow me.
Follow you? I was born first. Helen, I love you. And brother, you're living proof of God's remarkable sense of humor.
Good luck, crazy bastard.
Oh my lord! Oh, the fools! The silly fools! I cannot believe they've done this!
Come on. Let's go try and find...
You and the woman ride after them, and sure enough, you find them on the shore below. Their barrels are broken, and their bodies are lifeless. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a game that really drives home the lesson that actions have consequences, much like the Greek mythology that inspired the 2 brothers. Except, of course, that Protus and Acrisius lived.
What have you done?
Brother, are you there?
Acri! Is that you? I've had the wind knocked out of me.
I thought you were a goner.
It's a miracle we're alive.
Silly, silly boys! You nearly died. For me.
She's right. Dear brother, what fools we've been.
You're the fool, but a brave one.
You might be dense, but you are the noblest man I know!
You are a lion!
Giant!
You're an earthshaker!
World conqueror!
Let's
Ow.
not let anything come between us again.
Never!
Boys,
Good lady, adieu!
Bewitch, some other milksops. We will have none of it.
but I thought that...
Before this siren calls us to the rocks again, let us away from here.
You lead the way, brother. The West awaits.
Boys! Boys!
In their reconciliation, they both reject the woman and decide to be best friends again, with a strong mutual respect for one another. You could almost say that the relationship was redeemed. It's a humorous twist that does solve the tension the missions have built up to this point. You have one more final conversation with the woman, and she admits that she found the whole situation exciting, even if she doesn't admit to leading them on.
There's quite some suitors you've picked there.
I was trying to stop them from killing themselves. They won't last a week without me.
Probably not. But you'll have an easier time.
I guess I will. So long. Oh, I wasn't trying to lead them on, you know? It was just exciting. The smartest men I knew, with positively the least sense.
Yes, usually the way it works. Good luck.
What can I say? She's the face that launched 2 barrels. Wait. Face? Launching watercraft? I knew it. She was Helen all along. Yes, the woman's name is Helen, which now drags the Trojan War into this discussion. If you're unfamiliar with the Trojan War, Helen was the wife of Menelaus, who was either kidnapped, coerced, or just decided to go with a guy named Paris to Troy. Then, due to World War I-esque treaties, a ton of Greek city-states found themselves fighting Troy for the next decade. There are countless different interpretations and readings. Some claim Helen, others don't. Some take Menelaus' side, other Paris's. The only important detail for this video is that you have 2 young men fighting in a way that many will find pointlessly dangerous, and there's a woman named Helen in the middle. Sound familiar? The reading of Helen that Red Dead provides is less grand than many of the scholarly readings in the original myths. Put simply, Helen enjoyed the attention and went along with it because it was exciting. She didn't intend for any of the consequences that followed. Do I agree with this reading? Well, I can be convinced on either side. I'm not a scholar of mythology. The thing is, I've never read anything that's from Helen's perspective. She's sort of just a side character in the original source material. The few things written with her at the center are very contemporary, so it's up to you if you consider them canon or not. Personally, I only consider the source material canon, with material made afterwards standing as ways of interpreting the original material, but I don't merge them into the same fold. The O Brother missions are another example of Red Dead Redemption 2's exceptional writing. Stranger missions are entirely optional, and yet the writers and actors still put a lot of effort into making them have the same level of quality as the rest of the game. While I'm not actually someone who usually takes a strong interest in mythology, I can respect the decision to use mythology as the backbone of a contemporary piece of writing, especially if it includes an original interpretation.